waterfall lies deep in the forest, more than a day's travel in the nearest village. It's said to be a holy place. In search of the divine ambit towering peaks, pilgrims stand beneath the plunged falls in their fall aesthetic practice. The water of the falls is freezing cold. All that it takes is a momentarily lapse of conversation, and the people is hammered down by rushing water. And the stream is known as the Stones of Heaven. The pilgrims call this waterfall the Stones of Heaven. Heaven is testing their mental and physical strength, and they say by hurling an endless stream of stones down upon them in the form of a powerful waterfall. Whatever. Sorry for wording that wrong if I did. And the stones have a mysterious power, a former pilgrim says to Kime, with a pained smile. He himself failed in this final, certainly, he adds. Different stones of heaven fall on each person. It's as if to see into your own heart. What do you mean? Kime asks. Whatever. The burdens you bore, and the dreams you dream in the secular world appears to you one after another. In his own eyes, he says, what came to him first were the voices of women. The water plunges down into the bastion of the falls, beginning to sound like women's voices. Sweet voices whispering in my ear. Voices sobbing. Voices moaning in the lover's embrace. In incredible variety. And for better or worse, I do every kind of them. Some I was thrilled to hear again, while others I hated remembering. Excuse me. Meaning you've gotten yourself into a lot of trouble involving women? I have indeed. Not to boost or anything, but that was one battlefield I knew better than anybody. I survived, but I made a lot of women cry, and there were a lot of them I loved. My whole purpose in undertaking the austerities, whatever the hell the word is, was to put that life behind me. But the stones of heaven know what they're doing. In the final test, they go after your greatest weakness. If you wavered the slightest bit, you've had it. The water slams you down, and you're on whatever the hell word is. Whatever it is, it's over. Or over. Whatever. The man feeds a stick of kindling into the campfire, and I'm not the only one, he continues. Jeez, why am I having so much trouble reading today? One fellow heard the voice of the mother he hadn't seen since he was a little boy. Another heard the voice of his dead child. Is this always voices? I wish it were. If you hold up through the voices, the waterfall mist starts changing into the shapes of people. You might see somebody who you hated so much in the secular world that you wanted to kill him, or might be some lone shark you had to go into hiding to get away from. One little flinch and you're done for. This particular, whatever the hell the word is, can be performed only once. There are no second chances. Someone who has preserved the whole day and night, but who fails in the end, has no choice but to return to the secular world in defeat, as this man did. Not that it was easy for me to get on my feet again once I was back there either. The man chuckles and calls out to a young pilgrim. or more precisely, to a young man who was a pilgrim until a few moments ago, who had just now dragged himself up to the lip of the bastion in utter dejection. "Hey, young fellow, the campfire's over there. Over here. I've got liquor to warm up your insides and some fresh grilled meat. Get a little of that in your stomach and you'll have the strength to make it down to the village." The man now makes his leaving as a master of the treehouse by the waterfall. Of course, pilgrims undergoing whatever the hell the word is carry no money with them. But the man is not expecting to become rich during doing this work. For bodies chilled by long hours of pounding under the waterfall, he provides a warning fire, food and drink, and sometimes even money to tide them over when they first go down to the village. Payment can be made at any time. The men can bring him the money after they have started to take the earnings again from jobs they find in the secular world. He sets no date for repayment. He takes no IOUs. He says he is fine with that. Aren't there some who don't pay at all? Kime asks. Of course there are. The man says matter-of-factly. But I think of my running this tea house as another kind of discipline for myself. Another kind of discipline? That's right. The stones of heaven will accept only the strongest pilgrims. The one uninterrupted by anything. The role I want to play is to accept the ones who were broken by the stones of heaven, the weak human beings. I want to go on accepting the weakest of the weak, the kind who not only scum to the stones of heaven, but who even fail to pay for their food and drink afterwards. This is your kind of discipline? Exactly. It makes for a hard living, that's for sure. I thought I was prepared to deal with cheats and weaklings, but there is a lot more of those that I can even bargain for. He declares with a hearty laugh. But then he quickly turns serious and says, "To tell the truth, I think of this less as a form of discipline than a way to get even." Get even? With whom? With those gods or whatever they are keeping hurling down their stones of heaven. Human beings are so weak, shockingly so in the eyes of a god. But I think this is not just because of what happened to me, that being weak is the best thing about human beings. Weakness can make us cunning, but it can also make us kind. Weakness can torment us, but can also as easily be our salvation. Don't you see, if the gods are hurling down the stones of heaven just to make people aware of their own weakness, just to make our Savior our own powerlessness, then I just as soon drop my trousers and moon then. I'll slap my bare butt and say to them, I'm not like you. I'm not going to punish human beings for being weak. I accept them for what they are weakness and all. The man feeds a new piece of kindling to the fire and says, with a shy shrug, I guess I got carried away. Kime smiles and shakes his head as if to say nothing at all. Not at all. Tell me though, the man goes on, I see you're a traveler, but you don't seem to be a pilgrim. You're right, I'm not, Kime says. I was trying to cross over a pass and took the wrong road. Well then, as long as you're here, why not give the Stone of Heavens a try? No thanks, Kaim says, smiling. What's the matter? Afraid that you're going to show... Afraid they're going to show you what it is that shakes you up? The man smiles and nods. Can't say I blame you, though. The man is mistaken about Kaim. He is not the least bit afraid of such thing. What scares him is the opposite prospect. That is not being shaken up of encountering on himself in a person unmoved by anything at all. Anyway, it would be suicide to jump into the waterfall without preparation. How's that? It's freezing cold for one thing. There's even colder water bubbling up from a spring in the basin. Even the most well-coordinated person has to be careful and take time to accustom himself to low temperature. If you go in all at once, it can stop your heart. The man jerks his chin in the direction of the falls, as if to say, look at them. Two new pilgrims are preparing themselves for the challenge of the stones of heaven. The men appear to be brothers. The older one kneels at the edge of the basin, splashing himself and measuring the cold water into the skin from foot to heart level. The young brother is too impatient for that. He wants to jump right under the falls. The elder brother cautions him and takes all the time he needs to accustom himself to the water's coldness. He excludes the quiet power of one who has withstood the most righteous training. Aha! The tea house owner says to Kaim, we're in for a rare privilege. I think we're about to see the first successful attempt in a long while. Can you tell? Kaim asks. You can if you spend as much time here as I have. The winner and losers are declared before the men ever step under the falls. That's what I meant to say. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Well, whatever, let's move on. Having completed his whatever the hell the word is, preparations, the elder brother enters the bastion. Even then, the steps he takes are slow and cautious. The young brother follows him up, kicking up the spray with every step. The younger one is hopeless, says the man with a sigh, adding another stick to, kindling to the fire. I'd better get the liquor ready now, he mutters to himself. The brothers stand side by side beneath the pounding waterfall. The stone of heaven rained down upon them. As the man predicted, the elder brother, utterly calm, stands up to the onslaught of image sent by the stones of heaven. Also, as the man predicted, the younger brother yields to the stones of heaven and is beaten down the bastion of the waterfall. And then something happens that goes far beyond what the man predicted. Withering in agony, the younger brother bobs helplessly in the bastion, unable to raise himself. He is drowning. He tears out his own chest. His heart is failing. He was not fully prepared to enter the icy water. Help me, brother, please! But the elder brother doesn't move. He remains under the waterfall in total concentration. Hey, what are you doing there? Hurry and help him! The man yells, but the elder brother's expression remains unchanged. He never flinches. He's drowning. You can't just let him down. Leave him like that. He'll die. The elder brother never moves. He grits his teeth. Dang it, I hit my damn headset. Sorry about that. He grits his teeth, keeping his eyes clamped shut, and shows no sign of moving out from under the waterfall, as if to declare, "This is it. This is going to be the final test of the Stone of Heaven." The man screams at him, "You idiot!" and dives into the rolling bastion in a rash effort to help the younger brother. For a moment, his untrained body hit the frigid water. The shock of it seizes his heart. Still, he reaches out towards the drowning brother, who is sinking beneath the surface. A great shudder goes through him, and with a humongous groan, he takes hold of the young man's wrist and pulls him his limp body towards him. He tries to return to the shore, but his strength gives out, and he falls back into the water. Next, it is Kaim's turn to dive into the bastion beneath the falls. He takes hold of the two unconscious men and drags them towards the shore. The stones of heaven pour down on Kaim, and he is assaulted by one vision after another. Battlefields, scenes of his wanderings, shooting stars, the climbing and sinking sun, raging winds, and countless deaths of those who have come to know on the road for his all too long life. "It will do you no good," he silently declares to the god hurling the stones of heaven at him. "My heart remains unmoved. I have lived through a reality far crueler than any phenomenon you can show me. Whether or not his life is a sign of his strength, he does not know. He will not boast of it, nor will he tell the tale to others. He has, however, lived it. That much is certain. He has lived through the years." Kaim climbs into the shore and lays the limp bodies of the tea house master and the young brother beside the fire. As he warms himself, he thinks, "The gods who hurl the stones of heaven are inferior gods. If they could truly see into everything, they would never have been foolish enough to show Kaim scenes of his past. From his past, that's what I meant to say. For what who disturbed him most of all would be unwelcoming sights of movement from his own limitless future. As if they were to ask him one simple question: for what purpose were you born? His knees would buckle in an instant. The first to regain consciousness is the young pilgrim. The tea house master's condition is critical. Kaim attempts to warm him and massage his clenched heart have a little effect. "Pull yourself together now. Look, we've got a fire here. The fire you built. Let it warm you." Kaim shouts into his ear until the man fully manages to focus his eyes, open a crack to move his purple lips. Is he alright? "Sure, he's fine. Don't worry." "Oh, good. Pull yourself together, man. Tell me though, is strength the same as coldness?" "Never mind, stop talking. Because if that is true, if strength is coldness, I don't want any part of it." The man gives Kaim a faint smile and closes his eyes. He will never open them again. Human beings are weak and fragile. All it takes for a person to die is for a fist-sized organ to stop beating. Human kindness, on the other hand, may drive from everyone's profound awareness to the fragility of life. Facing the tea house master's lifeless corpse, the young brother hangs his head and cries. This weak man, defeated by the stones of heaven, sheds heartful tears for the man who saved his life. His strong elder brother, meanwhile, is still being pounded by the waterfall, unfazed by the stones of heaven. Surely his strength will be recognized by the gods, and he will bring his ascent training to perfect completion, or perfect completion, whatever. Still, Kaim finds the tear-stained face of the young brother beautiful in a way the stronger elder brother can never be, and he wishes that he himself could be moved by the younger man. There was an unmatched nobility in the last smile of the tea house master, who gave up his life to save that of a complete stranger. Kaim wishes that he too could experience such feelings. And what of my own face? Living through 1,000 years of life is not strength, yet burdened with a life he cannot lose. Will Kaim be able to change the weakness into kindness? This he cannot tell. He can only live unknowing. He can only walk on. He can only continue his journey. Kaim looks at his reflection in the bastion of the waterfall. On the water's heavy surface, he sees the trembling faces of a lonely wanderer. The end.